Kate.
Hello, Grant.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, you're our first ultramarathoner.
Awesome.
On the podcast here. Really, really excited to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell me, obviously you have a little bit of a unique sport that you participate in.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about how you got started in that.
Oh my gosh. So I run long distances.
Yeah.
Preferably in the woods on trails and distances of marathon distance or further. So 50K, 50 mile, 100 mile. I much prefer 50 mile to 100 mile races.
Me too. That's what I gravitate towards. I usually, if I'm going to run a race, I'm going to go for
long.
At least 50 miles.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And I just got started back in 2012. Started running marathons in 2003, and I ran marathons, did 2 Ironman distance triathlons. And then after Ironman, my husband and I decided that we wanted to try doing an ultra. So an ultra is anything beyond the marathon.
Right.
So signed up for a 50K and a 50 mile that first year. And that was in 2012. And then in 2013, decided I'd try the 100 mile distance. I did not finish that first 100 miler in 2013. There was a lot to learn, but have gone on to finish a 100 mile race every year since 2014.
That's amazing.
Except for, nope, that's not true. I've finished a race every year since 2014 of 100 miles.
So that's 11 years
11
running?
years of
1,100 miles of races.
That's
amazing.
The 100 mile distance, not including, races of 50K, 50 mile or 100K.
Right.
And I've
Unreal.
been running since I started running in 2003. That's where I started running marathons. And yeah, it's just been one foot in front of the other and just signing up for the next race and just continuing to move forward.
I love it. So you're becoming kind of a seasoned veteran at this sport at this point.
A little bit.
You've been in it for a while now.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So longevity in sport is one of my kind of overarching goals. I want to continue to do this for a very long time. And I want to rewrite the script on what an aging athlete looks like.
Love that. Yeah, rewrite the script. Write that down, everybody. Rewrite the script on what an aging athlete looks like. That's awesome. Yeah. I like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's sticky. We're gonna cut that and make that into something. That's a good one. Yeah, so that's really awesome. So were you a track athlete coming up through high school, college?
No.
Okay.
So I ran in college, and I'm going to put run in air quotes. I would get out and do a lap around the Metro Park or something like that to just sort of manage my weight in college as a way to kind of take back that freshman 15 that everybody seems to want to put on when they go off to school.
Right.
So I would run, and that was the most time efficient way to exercise. I could just leave my dorm and do a lap around the park, and I would feel good. It was a great way to move in nature. I just found that I really enjoyed it, but I was only running 2 miles.
Okay.
And just for fun. I don't know. I don't even know how I started. Just one foot, just decided one day to go for a run.
That's unreal.
And then I'd only ever run a 5K on Thanksgiving for, just for fun, and then decided to sign up and do a marathon. I actually got a flyer in the mail in 2003, and it was want to run a marathon, and there was a meeting in the town where I was living, and so I just went to this meeting. I didn't know anyone, and it was a fundraiser for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and you could pick the marathon that you wanted to run, but you had to fundraise for this organization.
Okay.
So I decided on a whim that I would pay, I think I had to pay $80 as my first fundraising donation. Mm-hmm. And then I picked the Honolulu Marathon because I figured I was only going to run one marathon, so I might as well go big or go home.
Right.
So
make a trip out of it.
Made a trip out of it, brought my parents, and I raised $4,500 for the organization. They paid for my airfare, my race entry, some basic things. I think the only thing I had to pay for was food. And then there was a group of people that we were all training for the same. So I actually met some folks.
Okay.
And that was the start of it.
Wow. And that was in 2003.
That was in 2003.
So you just picked up running.
Yep.
Just got off the couch and said, I'm gonna just take this up.
Yep.
And you went from running 5K, which is, for the people listening,
3.1
3.1
miles.
miles, right? And just decided, okay, now I'm going to make the jump from 3.1 to 26.2 in one leap.
Yep, basically.
That's a jump.
And I mean, I trained over the course of many months.
Yeah.
And the organization provided us a training plan, and they had some coaches. And so I had people around me that were encouraging us to do it. And, you know, I managed to do it without injuring myself. And it was a great way to meet people. And so at the time I was living in Michigan, and then that race was in December, and in April I moved to Minnesota, and I knew no one.
Yeah.
So the way that I met people was I went to running stores and was asking people if they had a running group.
Okay.
And I found a local running group here in Minnesota and connected with those people who were then running Twin Cities that fall.
Yeah.
So then I was like, well, I'll run Twin Cities. So that was how I met people, and how I was socially engaged with the community was through running.
Yeah.
And it was a great way to like learn the city and meet people, because we ran like, you know, around the lakes and around the river parkway and things like that.
For sure.
So as someone that didn't know anyone moving here, it was a great way to meet people.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a kind of a unique community of
For
people.
sure.
Runners are, they kind of, what's the word? Kind of attract one another.
Yeah.
You know, and form those little communities, which is cool. Yeah, that's amazing. So that's when you became a repeat marathon runner.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. Gotcha. That is awesome. And so how many marathons did you do before you made the jump? Before we go there, I think it's really awesome that you know, one thing I think people tend to do sometimes is kind of underestimate themselves, you know, right? And you're kind of the opposite of that, in a way of like, you just picked up and was like, oh, I'm just going to do a marathon. Like most people wouldn't attempt that, you know, just having not like ramped up like the usual course. I mean, most runners would, they do some 5Ks and they're like, well, let's try a 10K. And then, we'll do that. Okay, that went okay. Now maybe I'll do a half marathon. And then I'm going to make, you know, kind of, and I'll just go for the marathon. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah, I love it.
I don't think, you know, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
And I didn't know many people that had run a marathon.
Yeah.
So it never even occurred to me to like do that. Here was a group and they were offering me a trip to Hawaii, and I was like, this sounds great.
Yeah, I love it. Let's just go for it.
Just do
Let
it.
it rip. And then, so how many marathons did you do then before you jumped to the ultra?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I actually have a note in my phone of like all the races that I've run, that keeps track of that. Probably maybe, so 2003 to 2012 is what, 9 years. So at least 10 to 12 probably.
Okay. Yeah. And then you went, this marathon's too easy. I gotta bump it up.
I had to run, you know, swim and bike first a couple times.
Okay, so you did some
triathlons
and then went to the ultras.
And then went to ultras.
I love it. Now you've got one thing that you said, we've had some conversations about this through our sessions that we've had, just like one thing that I thought was really interesting that you talked about is that you're almost like, it's like a professional eating contest.
Yes.
These ultra marathons.
Yes.
Which you don't really think about. If I go for a run, I'm not thinking about eating while I'm doing that. I'm like, I just got to get through this thing, and you know, I may want something to drink when I'm done, but I'm not like thinking about, you know, when can I get my next bite to eat?
Right.
You know,
Right.
So, and I think most runners don't really consider that unless they're going, you know, obviously marathon and beyond. Right. You have to like that's a requirement, or you're gonna crash.
Yeah.
Right. So, tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what's that like? Eating
it has its
and
moments.
running. Yes.
So yeah, you are correct. Like the body really only can have maybe about 2 hours of like glycogen on board before it starts to run out of steam. So to run, you know, a marathon, you definitely, you know, you hear people talking about taking gels and, you know, fuel, like electrolyte replacement drinks, things like that. But for, you know, when you're going to be out there all day as a 50 miler or 100 miler, you might be out there all night as well.
Right.
You do have to fuel. And so that can look like many different things depending on the individual. It is sort of one of those N is one. So what works for me may not work for somebody else. But I look at consuming no less than 300 calories an hour of different food sources. So I might do gels depending on, you know, if I need something really quick, but I might also eat like a turkey sandwich. And so I look to average about 300 calories an hour. One of my favorite go-tos are mashed potatoes. And so I will actually take a cup of instant mashed potatoes and put them in the pocket of my vest with a spoon and literally just eat spoonfuls of mashed potatoes as I'm traveling across the trail.
Delicious.
It's amazing. And then other things that
I feel like most people would struggle with that. Like
you do have to
like when
train
you're
for it.
pushing yourself that hard, the last thing you're thinking about is like, let me get this next bite of mashed potatoes in.
Yep. You do have to train your gut 100% to
Sure.
kind of be able to process food while you're running.
Yeah.
And then there is a point where you definitely are done. You're like, I do not want to eat anymore. I do not want any more calories. And at which point you have to take that emotional component out of it and just be like, I have to fuel.
Right.
If I want to get to the next aid station, if I want to finish this race, I have to fuel.
Yeah.
And you just sort of kind of have to just like close your eyes and swallow
Put it in
and
anyway.
get down,
Yeah.
get it down and just take that emotional like component away.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you stop fueling,
You're done. Yeah.
So
you're going to crash.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen before?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Like where you get behind, you don't know you're behind, and you're in the pain cave, you're in the hurt locker, whatever you want to call it. And then, you get to an aid station and you just, you're like, I'm done. And your crew or whoever's there, volunteers even, are like, you're not, eat a sandwich. Like, you're fine.
Right.
Just eat something.
Right.
I have many stories of kind of coming in and just thinking that I was done, I was going to call it, and people just kind of forcing me to get some calories in, and then being like, oh, hey, I guess
then
I'm
you
all
wake
right.
up and you're
okay.
okay.
And you're good to go.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure.
How much would you say of ultra marathoning, how much of it is mental versus physical? I mean, obviously there's a huge physical component to it because, I mean, that requires a ton of endurance, but like, just to like, I mean, people get bored running for 10 minutes on a treadmill. You know what I mean?
Me
like,
too.
how do you, like, how do you do that mentally when you're out there for, I mean, a 100-mile race is how long does that take you on a typical?
It depends on the course. But I would say anywhere from, for myself, my fastest 100-mile race was 26 hours, just under 26 hours. My longest 100-mile race was close to 36 hours. So, I mean, you're out there for more than a day.
Yeah.
And the mental component is huge. You can only train so much. Obviously, you can only train your body to a certain point before you require more rest to recover from that training session.
Right.
Then it becomes sort of diminishing returns. So, you train up to a point. I'll do back-to-back long runs on a weekend. I might do 15 miles on Friday, 20 miles on Saturday, and 20 miles again on Sunday or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then rest and recover. But you can't train more than, that distance really going into a 100-mile race.
Right.
So, I might do a 50-miler 6 weeks out or something, but it takes so much mental fortitude you just have to take the idea of quitting off the table. So
I like that.
you know that it's going to not feel great later in the race. You're going to be tired. You know that, you're going to be uncomfortable. But what I've found to be the most fascinating part of ultramarathoning and the fascinating part of running long distances is that you would assume that when you get to a certain point, you're like, oh, this is hard. My legs are tired. My feet hurt. All these things start compounding. And you think your emotional and logical mind thinks that it's going to get exponentially worse. You think, okay, if I feel like this at 27 or 28 miles, I'm going to feel exponentially worse at 60 miles.
It's going to be twice as bad, three times as bad.
Right.
Yes.
What I have found in my experience is that is not the case. That it almost just sort of like comes to a point and stays the same. And if you can make peace with that sense of being uncomfortable and that sense of discomfort, most of the time, if you do a good job of taking care of yourself, you're fueling, you're drinking, you're taking care of chafing issues or blisters that might pop up. If you're taking care of yourself, that doesn't really get worse. It just sort of stays.
That's
and you have
interesting.
to make peace with it.
Yeah.
And it'll ebb and flow a little bit. You might, for a while, feel a little bit better, and then you might feel a little bit worse, and it'll ebb and flow. But it doesn't get this, like, way, way worse
Interesting.
feeling. And that's what I think is so fascinating is that, yes, at the end of the race, I'm done. I want to sit down. Like, I'm just over it.
Yeah.
But that's part of the journey. And there's a big piece of that in the middle that's like, it's totally fine. It's not any worse than it was at mile.
It's kind of the old adage of get comfortable being uncomfortable.
I say that like it's my job.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Yep.
That's exactly it.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. That's cool. What would you say is what's the hardest thing about it?
Besides eating?
I mean, you've got all of these challenges with it. I mean, you've got physical challenges, your feet, eating, the mental part, just the overall cardiovascular part. I mean, just what's the biggest challenge about finishing a race? I mean, I suppose that varies for some people because different issues can pop up, but like, what would you say? What's the toughest?
Weather can be the trickiest.
Oh, okay.
So, I mean, you could have, done everything in your power to be perfectly prepared for the race, and it could be 45 degrees and pouring rain.
Oh, right.
And then you're out there and you've got to take all those other mental things that would be happening, and then you put it with the rain smacking you in the face.
Love it.
And then
that makes
the
it even
trail's
more
muddy
fun. Yes.
And it's slippery and it takes you longer to get to that next checkpoint or longer to get to that next aid station. That's probably like the hardest part, is like just dealing with some of those things that just are 100% outside of your control.
Right.
And just knowing that, like, well, A, everybody has to deal with it, but B, there's only one way, but that's through.
Yeah.
So.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Now you've got a big race coming up.
I do.
That's in May.
In May.
Right?
So we're like, yeah. We're a little ways out yet.
We did the 100 miles, and we decided that's too easy now. So
well, it's not easy. You still respect the distance.
tell us what I say that facetiously, just because of the enormity of the task you're undertaking here.
Yes. So I am signed up for what is called the Cocodona 250. It is a 250-mile foot race that takes place in Arizona the first week of May. We start in Black Canyon City, Arizona, and we end in Flagstaff.
That's unreal. And if anybody's ever taken that drive before, which I have, you get to Flagstaff and turn south, and you barely touch the gas pedal because you're just rolling downhill the whole way. So you're talking about not just 250 miles. You're talking 250 miles in the desert, almost entirely uphill.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah.
Yes. So, yeah. So we're talking in 250 miles. This is like 10 marathons consecutively. Just about. Not quite.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like we were just talking earlier, like the average human would run one marathon and take a week off to recover.
Yeah.
Like we're going to do 10 of these guys in like a 5-day.
It's a 125-hour cutoff, which is essentially 5.5 days.
Okay.
There are certain cutoffs you have to meet along the way. So you have to hit certain checkpoints and out of those checkpoints by a certain day and time. And there will be a sleep, like one does need to sleep, but there's no sleep requirements. And there's not like, you're going to just run one day and then sleep 8 hours and then run the next day and sleep 8 hours or anything like that. The clock's always ticking. So you have to decide, on your own and your own plan of when you sleep, how much you sleep, and you have to finish in 125 hours at the longest. I'd like to finish in less than that, but we won't get greedy.
That's incredible though. I mean, that's the first goal, right? Is like just finish the thing. Yeah, for sure.
And then the fewer nights on the trail, obviously the fewer problems. The longer you're there, the more problems that can pop up, right?
For sure.
Your feet can go south, your stomach can go south. There's any sort of number of things that can happen. So obviously you want to move efficiently, but you also want to not. Yeah. I'd rather not take 5.5 days, but
for sure
I will take as long as I need to take.
Yeah. And how do you manage the sleep schedule with that then? I mean, are you like, you're trying to get a couple hours in at a time and get up and go again, or like what's the
TBD a little bit, as that's something as training kind of evolves and I kind of plan the course and plan like how long it's going to take me in different sections. Some of that will be determined. But yeah, we have a van, so the van will be at aid stations and I'll be able to sleep in the van. Some of the aid stations are designated sleep stations, so they would have cots and you could like crash there. But because we do have the luxury of having a van, I will be able to sleep sort of in my own bed, if you will.
Yeah.
At certain places, wherever there is crew access and the van can be there, then I can sleep. So I don't know. At this point, I probably will try to sleep from that 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. window, where it's like that's always the hardest part. If you've ever tried to stay up all night, is like right before the sun comes up.
I just did that last night. believe it or not. I was
stayed up all night?
just grinding. Like I was just locked in, and pretty soon
my
it was
gosh.
like almost 3 a.m. and
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I got to go to bed now.
Yeah.
Exactly to your point.
Right.
That's
So-
you just kind of hit a wall at that point, and it's like, all right, I got to get some sleep.
If I can make that happen and then sleep a few hours and get up when the sun comes up so you can maintain some semblance of a daily schedule, that can be helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like you don't know, this is my first time taking on that distance. So
Are you nervous?
I'm terrified.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's a normal human response to taking on something
it's
like
a
that.
big scary goal.
Yeah,
So
for sure. What is it like? I mean, have you done one of these like in the desert before?
I've done a 50K in the desert. So I've
Okay.
done like 31 miles.
All right. What is it like being out there like in the night when it's just dark? I mean,
It's
I'm
super
assuming you're wearing
cool.
like a headlamp
Yeah.
and like, yeah. Okay.
The nights on when you run overnight in any ultra are really neat because nobody else, you guys that are on the course, we're the only ones out there. We're
Yeah.
the volunteers. And so you don't see, there's usually enough people on the course. You're not going to see like wildlife or anything like that. But it is, you look at the stars, you watch the moon, you watch the sun come up the next morning. It's really special.
Yeah.
And you've been out there like all night, and there's something gratifying about just moving through the environment
Yeah.
and, moving through, sunset, overnight, sunrise. That is really, it's just special.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was my other question was when you're out there in the night, there's enough people around where it's not like you're just like finding yourself just kind of like out there alone in the dark.
It depends. Again, it depends a little bit on the course and how many people are on the course.
Yeah.
I have been in places where I've been like, oh, there's nobody around. I'm out here all by myself.
Yeah.
But
I would be worried about getting lost.
yeah, depending on the course. And that is, for this Cocodona race, the 250, you do have to have the course downloaded to, a GPS device, whether that's your phone or a watch. You have to prove to them that you have the course because they can't be responsible for 250 miles of course markings.
Right.
People could vandalize them or they could get taken or who knows what.
Right.
So there's a much higher risk of getting lost on a course like Cocodona than there is on, other courses or races that I've done that are definitely well marked or I'm familiar with them. But there will definitely be times, especially at Cocodona, where I will have to be alone because of environmental considerations where they don't allow multiple people to be on the course. So in most of my ultras, I've been able to have a pacer with me the last, 50 miles or so. And the pacer is just someone that like a friend that keeps you company and runs with you for a section or two. During Cocodona, because of environmental considerations, there are certain sections where they're only allowed to have the registered participants on the course at that time.
Okay.
So I will have to run, 20 miles by myself, and then pick up a pacer again after that or before that. So, so it's definitely going to have some different challenges and
Makes it interesting.
it will make it very interesting.
As if just running 250 miles wasn't interesting enough.
Yeah.
They add that into the equation too. It makes it fun.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit. I know you got to run.
Oh, good.
Just started implementing some PT rehab stuff into your kind of training routine.
Yep.
I know it's a pretty rigorous routine that that you follow in terms of running and strength training and all of the other things that you have to prepare for. What has that experience been like, and what have you? How do you feel like that's affected the process of preparing for this?
Yeah, PT's been great.
That's good to hear. We always love to hear that.
No, it's been awesome.
Yeah.
I had a little niggle in my foot that wasn't preventing me from running, but didn't also feel very good. So I wanted to get that checked out after my last 100-mile race, and finding that there are some weaknesses in the kinetic chain that maybe need to be addressed. And so I'm super excited to kind of address that because going into a race longer than I've ever been, I need to be stronger than I've ever been. So any of those weaknesses are simply going to get amplified over a longer distance. So it's been really powerful to kind of find those weaknesses, address them, and then also kind of erase that little niggle that's been going on. So it's a game changer. My running feels better than it's felt in a really long time, and I'm kind of kicking myself for not starting it sooner before my 100-mile race the last time.
Right.
But, no,
I love
it's been
it.
great.
A lot to unpack there. Don't wait. Yeah,
Yeah, definitely. You have a
wait.
niggle?
Yeah, I've heard that story so many times. Like,
Yeah.
I wish I would have done this sooner.
I mean, I thought about
know.
it in August.
Yeah,
I was
right?
like, I should do this. I'm like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yep. And you also said something interesting there was, it wasn't something that was keeping you from running.
No.
So many people wait until, but it was probably affecting your performance in a way.
Of course it did.
And
Yeah.
I think that's an important thing for people to consider with that is that, PT doesn't just have to be for treating an injury.
Right.
It's something that you can use to optimize your performance too. And sometimes, doing that can, nobody has a crystal ball and can, predict everything that could happen, but
Right.
you got to think that taking care of that on the front end is going to prevent you from dealing with more serious things,
Yeah.
that could develop on the back end if you're just being proactive about it
For
and
sure.
staying ahead of those things.
Yeah.
So
Prevention is key, and definitely for anybody. I mean, it's so important for us to be able to move our bodies and do the things that we enjoy doing. That I recommend to everybody that PT is definitely a worthwhile thing. Couple that with massage and chiropractic too. Like, we all need some help. Our bodies are not perfect, and we all have our own strengths and weaknesses. And I think that PT definitely is a game changer for everyone.
Love it.
Yeah.
I love it. All right. On that, I think that's a good wrap up right there.
Sounds great.
That's a great summary. Kate, thank you so much for
Yes,
doing
thank
this.
you.
I'm so excited to keep working with you on this
Thanks.
journey you're on here
Yeah.
to conquer the 250
Cocodona.
Cocodona. That's what it's
And
called.
if
Okay.
you have closed captioning, it does generally call it the Coke donut.
Oh, funny.
So like if you see anybody's like reels or anything that's doing it, it's usually their closed captioning shows up as Coke donut.
Yeah.
The Coke donut 250.
Oh, funny.
So
Cocodona. That sounds very like Hawaiian or something.
well,
but it's Arizona. Yeah.
It goes through Sedona.
Oh,
And then
okay.
it crosses the
Now
Coconino
that makes
Plateau.
sense.
So
Okay.
they're taking the
Got
Coconino
it.
Plateau and Sedona and kind of the Cocodona.
That's making sense now.
Or the Coke donut.
Yeah, got it. The Coke donut. That's another way to think about it. Well,
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will be interested to kind of keep track of this whole process
Yeah.
you're on here. How can people like find you? You're on Instagram.
I'm on Instagram,
Yeah.
on Facebook.
'Kay.
I'm also on Strava. So if you have any athletes that are logging miles or events, activities on Strava,
Okay.
Kate Leis, Sunrise Fitness on Strava, and then Kate Leis on both Instagram and Facebook.
Awesome. And you do an awesome job of like kind of like posting your whole journey on there, kind of like giving updates on what you're doing training wise and everything. That's kind of fun to follow.
I do try to keep some updates and keep it real.
Yeah.
On, because I'm just your average middle of the pack runner. I'm definitely not winning. But we're just doing the best we can. And
You're doing it.
I
That's the big thing.
just love,
You know.
I love doing it, and I love sharing it with people. So
That's awesome.
thanks.
Check it out. Tune in.
Yeah.
Follow Kate. Yeah. It'll be really fun to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's
Thank you
good.
so much.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.